Today I'm going to talk about 4 stocks that you must buy now if you don't own already. So stick around, should be really interesting. I love these companies. It's going to be the greatest video ever. You're going to have no idea what we're talking about. It's going to be so amazing. The behind the scenes, the incredible deals we're making, it's just awesome.
Want to make your money work harder? Enjoy another video with Adam Kahn, the rational investor on stocks, real estate, and crypto. Subscribe now for your weekly dose of investment insights and hopefully learn a thing or two.
Hello, my YouTube friends, and happy Monday. I hope everybody had a good day. Pretty much a nothing day in the markets. Ford and a few others. I think Mattel reported after earnings. Palantir might have as well. I know they started higher and then lower. Today, we're going to talk about 4 stocks I think you have to own, and that if you don't already, you should buy them now. That being said, if you own VOO or QQQM or QQQ or some of the others, they might be in your ETFs as well. I'm going to rattle those 4 off because that's how I'm going to do it today, and then we'll talk about why I think that. So, the 4 stocks I think you have to own are Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft. Why is that? Because I think the AI thing is real. And one of those companies, if not all 4 of them, are going to be in the mix. It's hard for me to make a guess outside of there of who's going to be involved, what part they're going to play. It's even hard for me to pick what part the 4 I'm picking are going to have play in the market. Why not NVIDIA? Well, the problem I have with NVIDIA is the people that they're selling to are trying to make their own chips. It's possible down the line that they're not even going to be buying the chips from NVIDIA, despite the fact that NVIDIA is the obvious leader right now. And perhaps that's one to have also. But my concern is that Microsoft or Amazon or one of the others is going to start being able to produce their own chips. They're going to stop buying from NVIDIA, and they're going to be able to profit and grow and move those things as well. It was really amazing. I was watching a little bit of a YouTube short by David Sachs, who's our crypto czar, and he was talking about how quickly the technology is moving in these spaces. And he was talking about 3 things: the chips, the CPUs, and the data centers. And all 3 of them doubling their capability 3 or 4 times per year. And that doesn't mean just each one on its own, because if you have the chip doing that, the CPU, and the data center, it's exponential how fast these things are moving along. And it's going to be amazing to see what happens over the next 3 to 5 years. I'm a little worried on one hand, a little excited. I'm really glad I was born in the dates that I was born because I worry about the future because it's hard to predict. The AI stuff is the first technology that really tries to replace human. I understand with new technology comes new opportunity and new jobs and everything else. But at least right now, it's not like the car replacing the horse or trains and steam over what was before, or electricity before there was electricity, or even things that like the computer versus the typewriter that made us more productive. The goal of these technologies was not getting rid of the human. It wasn't that it's going to become so efficient that we can save on our labor costs because we don't need anybody. Now, I think plumbers, electricians, AC repairmen, things that are labor jobs have a long time to go still, because it's going to be a while before a robot's coming to our house to fix things. And what I'm worried about is I'm much more worried about a melt up still, which I talked about this a long time ago, as opposed to a recession. In some ways, while a recession is bad and you have unemployment and lack of purchasing because people aren't working and no money's going through the system, what I'm worried is seeing a little bit of both, where we have inflation and assets go way up in value as the dollar potentially weakens, at the same time that we have loss of jobs because the technology is improving so much. I hope that doesn't happen. I'm not really thinking it will. Generally, things take a lot longer than what we expect them to do, and it's probably a slower transition than the way that David Sachs was talking about it. But I was also talking with one of my friends who has the same thought process, and was talking about the layoffs that we're seeing and how he's concerned that we're going to see them continue and that those jobs aren't ones that we're going to have new opportunities in because it's just going to be AI replacing people and being able to do the jobs on their own. Now, since that's one of my concerns that I could see happening, I definitely want to be invested in the companies that I think are going to be a part of that transition. I think that Amazon, Google, Meta, and oh God, I'm forgetting. I can't say Meta and Facebook; they're the same company. Um, and Microsoft all have real potential to be a part of that growth. I think that they're working on it and they're spending that section. Like I think Meta is going to be involved because I think they're still going to be the social outlet and they're going to be using it to increase their sales and productivity and the marketing that they're already doing. With the other threes, I was watching a program where Microsoft is creating a chip that's already faster. Like it just, I don't even know how to explain it. And they have it in this cold room because the energy to try to build it is out of control and uses a ton of energy. And they've created this whole place. It was a very interesting program. But it makes me think that Microsoft could really be involved in that space. And I didn't realize how diversified they were. To be fair, I just think of them as the systems that we use for our computer and stuff. I didn't know how many other companies they have. I knew they were doing web services. I didn't know that they were working so hard on the chip manufacturing and to be involved in the AI space. And then Google, despite all the negative press out there, I get that the Department of Justice is going after them. I understand that they could separate with the Chrome versus the other platforms, which I hope doesn't happen, but that's just my own opinion. Um, and then all the concern that as AI advances, that the search is no longer going to be a valuable asset. That might be true. It really might. But what I'm banking on, or what my hope is with Google, is they have their own engineers working on this as well. And the fact that they've already got the customer base, if things go that direction, it is possible that they will be part of it as well. And then it won't be that their search just becomes a non event. On top of the fact that, at least for now, their search continues to grow. I get the concern that as time goes on, if the technology changes and people aren't really using the search, that is a big bulk of their income. So if they lose that, that's a significant portion of their profits. And while they are diversified and they have YouTube and Waymo and all these other things, search is still a huge percentage of their profits. So it'd be really tough on them if they ended up losing that. My thought, though, is with their AI spend and their Gemini and their end of it, that they're going to be in the competition, and it's not somebody I would just throw to the curb. Maybe you want to own something that is. It's hard for me to think that Palantir, just because of where their valuation is. And I don't want to make guesses on these others. Maybe the Chat GPT is what people think it'll become, or maybe it's just the first one that we gravitate to, and it'll end up being like Atari or some of the other things that was first. And maybe Google stays a part of it. And then you have Amazon. What I like about Amazon is not only are they a part of the AI revolution, you have the retail attached with it. You're well diversified. It's hard for me not to think that Amazon is still going to be a phenomenal company and still selling the retail, doing their own deliveries. Like they've got a really good business model. And part of why I use Amazon at this point isn't necessarily that they're always the cheapest. They've made it so convenient. I go online, I can find pretty much anything. I hit a button, it shows up at my door or at my mailbox, if depending on where I send it. And then from there, if we're unhappy with it, we drop it off at Whole Foods or Kohl's or one of the other return locations, and back it goes, and we can find something else. It's really amazing how good they are about purchases and returns and everything else. The only one I think that might be better is Costco, but you pretty much use the physical. They don't have the online presence quite the same way. I get that they have online presence, but it is a little bit different. And separately, I'm not including them in the AI race. Maybe they end up going that route, but at least for now, they really aren't a part of that area, which is why I'm sticking with the four that I'm sticking with. favor, if you haven't already, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, make some comments in the comment section. I really appreciate the help. On top of that, this is not financial advice by any means. Please use this channel for entertainment purposes only. I'm just sharing what works for me and the stuff that I like to do. You really need to go out and do your own research for any financial decisions you make. Maybe reach out to a financial advisor, let them help look at your portfolio, see what works for you guys, because you're going to be in a different situation than I am. Now, that being said, I hope that you have assets. I hope we don't have some massive run in either direction. And I'm hoping that it just stays the course of, climbing a wall of worry. And we're all nervous for the next 20 years while the markets continue to do fine. Unemployment doesn't get out of hand. There's lots of noise in the background and things just keep chugging along. The other thing is, do me a favor, make a comment in the comment section. Let me know if you think there's companies that you must own going forward, or if you think you should just be out of the market entirely right now, or what you think is going on. Do you think it's housing's going to continue higher? Like, I legitimately struggle with it. I get what clients, because I do mortgages too, like, I get what they're seeing out there. To me too, just like inflation, the prices do look high. We have higher interest rates than what we had 3 or 4 years ago, so the monthly payments look high. But so does a carton of eggs. I also don't really envision some huge correction coming. So, despite that, I see the same thing, that the prices look high and the payments look high, I do feel like the market's going to continue going higher, and I don't really understand why either. I don't think it's because Trump's going to be able to cut interest rates or push Powell into the corner. Things do appear to be slowing based on the data. So, as long as unemployment doesn't become a problem, it would make sense if the Fed cuts. Probably not at this coming meeting, but down the road. I'm guessing they're going to wait to see how the tariffs play out. But it does look like they could cut. We could see a little bit better mortgage rates. And is that going to push house prices even higher? Because there is demand under the surface. People want to be buying the homes, they just think they're expensive. A lot of times, when that's the case and they just think it has to come down, markets tend to do what people don't expect them to do. So when people think it's too expensive and it has to have a correction, the weird thing is it tends to do the opposite and it continues to become less and less affordable. If I really thought there was going to be a massive correction, I would be talking to my wife about maybe we sell and just rent for a while and then buy once the market corrects. I did that back in 2005 or 6. I was early and I watched the market shoot up higher and then it collapsed. And we rented for that time before we bought later down the road. But I don't feel the same way this time. I remember moving out of Chicago and telling my real estate agent, sell as fast as possible. Like, she thought I could get a better price. I wasn't super concerned with it because I just saw this massive bubble, and I was really glad we came out and rented for a while. For whatever reason, even though we have the same price increases over the past few years, I don't have this gut wrenching, I need to sell, we need to rent type of feeling in my stomach. And maybe I'm wrong. Like, what do you guys think? Do you think that the housing's going to have a big correction? Or do you think, like me, that, man, it's expensive, but it sure seems like it's going to stay expensive? And the interesting thing about that is rents have gotten soft. Like, that has happened. I don't see the rents going up the same way, but it feels like the price of the homes are. And if you're trying to find an investment property, your margins are just tighter and tighter, and you don't make the profits that you were previously. Just a really interesting market that I see going on in the housing market. The other thing I'm still noticing is everywhere I go is still mobbed. So if we have this big recession, how is everybody still able to keep spending? We went on a weekend vacation with some of my son's friends from school. It's getting towards the end of the year. All of them were doing really well, and they had a 3-day weekend. So we just took them out to California to this indoor. Um, they've got these like water slides. I don't want to overstate it because it's pretty small, but it's something that at 14 years old, it's fun, and as parents, it's comfortable because they can kind of run around. We're not too worried about them. But either way, the place was mobbed. I mean, really, it was just mobbed. And my wife had to return a few things at the mall yesterday. And I get it, it's Sunday, but she said the same thing. She couldn't even find a parking spot, it was so crowded. Now, it was a little bit overcast and we had a bit of a drizzle. So maybe with the bad weather, people went to movies and to the mall. But she was saying how it was just mobbed, which floored both of us. And I think people are still out there spending, and the consumer is still strong despite the tariffs, despite the inflation, despite everything else. It seems like they're still working and they're still spending. I see the news with the unemployment, but then I go out to a restaurant and have to wait 20 minutes to get a table. So you tell me, what do you guys think? Anyway, one last time, if you could do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button or hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make some comments, and enjoy your day. I'd love to hear what's going on and hope you're all doing well.